Feedback Friday. I'm going to talk about feedback. Let's first take a look at what this title does to you. Maybe if you're thinking about Friday, all of you are going to go, yay, it's going to be the weekend soon, it's thank God it's Friday, or casual Friday. We all have positive emotions associated with Friday. Whereas if we go to the word feedback, let's do a quick show of hand. Who in here really enjoys giving feedback and loves giving feedback to other people? Yeah, we have a few courageous hands here, but not very many people said, yes, this is what I love to do. And in a lot of cases, when you talk to people and ask them, why don't you like giving feedback? They're saying, well, I don't really want to hurt the other person. I don't want to insult their feelings. I might say something that hurts them. But if you think about why feedback is essential, so let's say I do my job, I work in marketing, and I do the same thing over and over and over again. Nobody will ever tell me to do something different. Nobody will ever tell me what I'm doing well, what I'm doing wrong. Nothing. I will not ever be able to grow. I will stay the way I am. Maybe I'll notice at some point that some things could be better, but it will be minimal change. So what you're actually doing is you're hurting the person you're not giving feedback to by not giving them feedback and not allowing them to grow. So you're actually doing something much worse than maybe hurting their feelings in a little moment where you're telling them something that they can improve on. And you're not alone. All of the people in my organization, when I started working there, although feedback was something that they knew was important, it was mainly given in annual performance reviews. So this yearly talk where you sit with your boss and you go through all the things that went well or didn't go well. And apart from that, while we do have a very open communication culture, it still wasn't very common to give feedback to colleagues, to bosses, to everyone all year long. And we realized this in a workshop and realized that if we want to improve and we want to really get better and better serve our customers, we need to make feedback a regular thing. So I went out of this workshop with a task, a daunting task. It's now your task to have us as a whole department and remind us regularly about why we should give feedback. And you will manage to change this. And you go out there and think, oh God, what am I going to do? I can't magically change something overnight. I tried a few crazy ideas. So for those of you living in Germany for a while, you probably know the thing called Adventskalender, where you get chocolate every day before Christmas. And I had kind of an exchange feedback for chocolate thing, which works really well. Everyone loves chocolate, but it's not really something that's sustainable. I can't feed people chocolate all year. I can't do that to all my 30, 60, 100 colleagues. So I needed something that was a little more scalable. I needed something that would also work worldwide with all of our colleagues. And I needed something that was a little healthier. I didn't want to make everyone fat. So essentially what I came up with was something that I called Feedback Friday, which is a weekly email that I sent out to all the colleagues in my department, which is around 100 people. And in that email, what I do is I highlight something that I've observed through the week or some situation that I know about. I then give them a task. So this would look something like, I've observed that in this meeting with our regional colleagues, we are not really doing well because we never say what we really mean to say. So for this week, please pick one colleague in a different location and give them feedback on how you think we could improve in our interaction. And then I would usually give a link to a topic. So for example, how is feedback handled in different cultures, or how can feedback be done over the phone? And essentially also because I thought other topics would be interesting than just feedback itself, I also highlighted communication topics and things like that. And I remember the first time that I sent out the email, and you can imagine kind of, I work at a technology company. You have the average engineer sitting there thinking about how to design this high-tech product into a customer application, thinking about electric circuits and not really about something else. And now this engineer gets an email every week reminding him about why it's important to give feedback, or how to improve communication culture, or how the brain works, or why to do yoga at your desk. Let's just say the reactions were mixed. So the first time I sent out the email, there was a colleague sitting right next to me, and I remember distinctively, I sent out the email, and 2 minutes later, he stands up and he says, "Johanna, seriously, this email, that's stupid. I'm not going to have extra time to do this, and I don't want to really give feedback to the colleagues. It's not going to work out anyways. You should just not do that." Yeah, that's nice feedback to give, or to get, and I hadn't really talked to my boss about sending an email to the entire department, so I figured, okay, if everyone reacts like that, that is going to be interesting. And I still progressed, and over the next few months I learned that some people never read the email at all. Others figured, I don't have time to do the exercise, so I'm just going to skip it. So there were parts that were really, really frustrating. Nevertheless, there were parts that were really positive. So some people, and this was really interesting, depending on which topic I picked, it went into a completely different direction, and different people would respond to it. So for some topic, I would get all of our development guys to come back to me and say, "Oh, this is really interesting." Some topic was maybe more interesting for extroverted people who tend to be a lot in marketing, and things like that. So it was really interesting to see which topic triggered which personality. Nevertheless, I soon realized it was something I was going to have to work on for a really long time, because if I only reached a few people every now and then, and not everyone in the department, it's going to take a while for change. So why didn't I just stop there? I could have said, okay, this is too much of an effort, I need to research topics every week, come up with an email that I write, I need to convince people, I'm getting a lot of negative feedback as well, and maybe it's not worth it for the other ones, so why not just stop? Well, for me, I decided there's something really, really important that I want to change. And change doesn't really come easy ever. We all know that change is hard and it takes time. So there are two learnings that I want you to take away and apply to anything you want them to apply them to. Anything that you have in mind that you want changed, anything that is your passion and that you want to work on. First of all, don't ever be afraid. Don't let some guy with a negative feedback stop you from getting a message out that you think is important. Don't let them stop you from changing something. Don't be afraid. Don't let fear overrule anything. Because yes, you will have negative feedback, but it will always be outweighed by the few positive responses that you get and the impact that you make on those people. And that impact, by the way, also multiplies. So don't be afraid. And second of all, be persistent. When I first started this, it was almost 2 years ago. And I thought, oh God, well, I'll try this out for a little bit. But then I realized oftentimes what we have in mind is change that comes overnight. We think we just need to snap and there's a change. We're not an earthquake, and we don't want to be. We don't want to destroy things while changing them. What we want to be, and I like to think of that, think of a river. A river is not going to change its riverbed overnight, but rather it will flow through the riverbed, and over time it will carve out pieces of the rock and it will change the riverbed in its way. So whatever you do, it doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be persistent, and you need to stick with it. For me, it's every week. Every week I send out an email, and if I forget it once, I go back and send out another one. And that's what has made it successful. And by now, I can really see the change in people. I can see that colleagues are now coming back to me and offering feedback. I actually had someone coming up to me and said, oh, I have awesome feedback, I just needed someone in the department to share it with. And then I was able to share that feedback on a Feedback Friday. So it all is starting to roll in, and you see individual people in the organization changing. So it's always worth it. So what I want you to do now and to do today is go out of this session and this TED Talk, let everything sink in, but then pick a topic that you think is important. Don't maybe necessarily pick something that you You don't want to rewrite the strategy of a large corporation or change an entire country, but pick something small that you can start with tomorrow or on the weekend. And pick that thing, don't be afraid, and stick with it. So go out, find your Feedback Friday, and change your world.